Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. How are you feel today? I feel great today. Welcome to our video presentation from Group 9 with me Nafa Zafira and my friend Zeni Madalena Silain. Our topic is translation and translator. Okay, the first is, what is translation? According to Catford, translation is the replacement of textual material in one language by equivalent textual material in another language. According to Safori, translation is made possible by an equivalent of thought that lies behind its different verbal expression. According to Nida and Taber, translating consists of reproducing in the receptor language the closest natural equivalent of the source language music, first in terms of meaning and secondly in terms of style. According to Grisling, translation is general term referring to the transfer of thoughts and ideas from one language or source to another language or target. According to Nierman, translation is a craft consisting in the attempt to replace a written message and or statement in one language by the same message and or statement in another language. There are two things to discuss in this definition. The first, Neumark view the translate of the written text. It is likely intended to distinguish between interpretation for verbal and the second. Instead of using the term, the translator employs the same expression in another language. The translation process. What is the translation process? The translation process is a model intended to explain the internal thought process that humans do when translating. Okay, the first translation process is linear translation process. What is linear translation process? Linear translation process is translation takes place directly and in one direction. The example, she kicked the farmer. Automatically, you translate, and in the meaning from she kicked the farmer is dia menendang petani itu. It is a linear translation process. Second is dynamic translation process. Dynamic translation process, according to Nida and Taber, there are three stages. The first is analyze stage, the second is transfer stage, and the last is restructuring stage. Okay, look at the diagram from dynamic translation process. Such language text formation. And the next is analyze. In analyze, grammatical and the meaning of words and set of words to get the full sense of them. And the next is search language text, and then search language text transfer to target language text. And the next is restructuring. In restructuring, the meaning of the target language is rewritten in accordance with rules and regulation within the target language. And the next is translation process according to Larson. Translation process according to Larson, the process is similar to that of Nida and Taber, which is different from the transfer stage. Larson not proper separately this stage, but from his description and semantics. Larson considers this process is similar to that of Nida and Taber, which is different from the transfer stage. Larson not properly this stage, but from his description and semantics. Larson considers this process automatically present if the translator reverses the meaning understood in the target language. So, look at the diagram. From translation process according to Larson. Source language transfers text to be translated, and the next determining meaning, and next is meaning. Okay, and the meaning, the next is expressing meaning back. Next, expressing meaning back is translation text, and you get target language. This is the process of translation according to Larson. The Larson translation process was complete by Said. Said was complete by Larson, and this is text to be translated, and then lexicon, context of situation, and grammar, context of culture. After that, analysis of meaning, and the next is insight on meaning, and then meaning. Get the meaning, the next is transfer of meaning, and the next is re-revelation of meaning, and then back context of situation, lexicon or word, context of culture, and grammar. And the example is this is the example. Process is analyze lexicon. I in the meaning is pembicara. Feel in the meaning is bergerak menuju ke tanah tanpa bisa dikendalikan. And in the meaning is dan or tambahan ide. Hurt in the meaning or in bahasa is perbuatan atau melukai orang. And my in bahasa or in the meaning is kepunyaan. And knee in the meaning or in bahasa is sendi antara tulang paha dan tulang kering. The second is analyze structure grammatical, and the third is analyze of the context situation, and the last is culture context analyze produce. Okay, the next explanation will be explained by my friends Zehni Madalena Selain.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now I will explain about the interpretations. Interpretation, it means that translate by the orally. So, there is two types of the interpretations. The first is simultaneous interpretation. In simultaneous interpretations, interpreters work from both inside or the soundproof room. Simultaneous interpretations use a device as known as the SIS or simultaneous interpreting system. Use an ear speaker or headset, and at the same time interpret what the speaker saying into the target language. And then simultaneous interpretations usually used in a large meeting like a conference, workshop, and multilateral meeting that require effectively or interactive interactions. And simultaneous interpretations need a high concentration because at the same time the speaker saying something, the interpreters must need a ear speaker or headset and then directly translate it at the same time. So they must analyze what the speaker is saying into the, and the second is the consecutive interpreting. In consecutive interpretations, The speaker will talk for a few moments, and then he or she give the opportunity for the interpreters to relay what he or she hear from the speaker and convey into the target language. And then in the consecutive interpretations, the interpreters will take notes about the what is the speaker saying. So the differences between the simultaneous interpretations and consecutive interpretation. In simultaneous interpretations, using a device as uh, as we know as the SIS or simultaneous interpreting system, or we can say is the headset, and then uh, consecutive consecutive interpretation using a device like notes. So that is the difference. If the simultaneous using an headset, consecutive interpretations using a notes. So there is the difference between the simultaneous interpretations and consecutive interpretations. The next is I will explain about the requirements that needs by the interpreters and the translator. Okay, the first is the requirements for the translator. If you want to be a translator, there is some rule that you must follow to be a translator. The first is mastering the material, and the second, mastering the source language and also the target language. And the second and the third is the ability to understand the written language. And the fourth is understand the style, soul, and the response that expected by the original author. And the fifth is understand the background. And the last or the sixth is the ability to use the dictionaries or the other reference. There is the requirements or the rules to be a translator, and the next is requirements or the rule to be an interpreter. The first is uh, mastering the material, and the second is mastering the source language and the target language. And this is the difference, one of the difference between the translator and the interpreters. If the translator, you must ability to understand the written language, but in the interpreter, you must have the ability to understand the spoken language. And and the fourth is understand understand the style, soul, and the response that expected by the original author. And then the fifth is the understand the background. And the sixth is ability to take decisions, the ability to take decisions directly. And the last is ability to use notes about the what is the speaker saying. That is the requirements between the translator and the interpreters. To be honest, there is very simple, but only a little bit the difference between the translator and the interpreter. And then there's the tools of the translator. Next is the tools that we need to be a translator or the interpreters. The first is the conventional tools. Conventional tools is the daily tools that we need at the time we study about English. The first is of course a book, pen or pencil, it's up to you. And the important tools is the dictionaries. This is the conventional tools. And the next is the modern tools. Modern tools is all the modern that we use now, or we can use mobile phone. In mobile phone we need an applications to use the dictionaries. The modern tools, it can be applications, website, or you can use Google Translate like that. That's all is the modern tools. So that's all about the translations and translator. Thank you for full attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.